Forget everything you think you know about the destruction of the Great Library of Alexandria. The story isn't about one catastrophic fire. It's a slow, grinding tragedy about how civilizations crumble from the inside out. This is the real story of how the world's greatest treasure of knowledge was lost and what it warns us about today. So, let's set the scene. Imagine a place that wasn't just a library, but the intellectual heart of the ancient world. Alexandria in its prime was the Silicon Valley, the Wall Street, and the Harvard of its day, all rolled into one. At its center was the library, a marvel holding hundreds of thousands of scrolls. This wasn't just a collection of books, it was a database of everything known to humanity. It contained the blueprints of Greek engineering, the secrets of Egyptian medicine, star charts from Babylonian astronomers, and philosophical treatises that questioned the very nature of existence. To control the Library of Alexandria was to control the world's most powerful weapon, information. Knowledge is power, and absolute knowledge is absolute power. Every rising empire, from the Ptolemies who built it to the Romans who coveted it, understood this. But this power also bred immense fear. If you were a rival kingdom, the knowledge stored in Alexandria could give your enemies an edge in military strategy, technology, and trade. The scrolls within its walls were more valuable than gold and more dangerous than any army. So, the library was both a target and a prize, a beacon of enlightenment that cast a very long and very dark shadow. Now, let's talk about the first fire, the one everyone points to. Julius Caesar's fire in 48 BC. Caesar was in Alexandria, tangled in a bitter civil war. Trapped in the royal palace and besieged by an enemy fleet, he made a desperate move. He ordered his men to set fire to the ships in the harbor to block his enemies. It was a brilliant, ruthless tactic. But fire is an untamable beast. The flames leaped from the ships to the docks, then to the warehouses and buildings along the waterfront. Did this fire destroy the Great Library? The answer is complicated. Some ancient accounts claim the library was burned to the ground, but modern historians believe this is an exaggeration. It's more likely that warehouses near the port, which stored scrolls for export or overflow from the main collection, were destroyed. The main library, the legendary Mausoleum, was located further inland and was likely untouched. So, Caesar's fire wasn't a single knockout blow, but it was the first major wound. It was an accidental spark born of military necessity that demonstrated just how vulnerable this treasure of knowledge really was. It was a sign of the chaos to come, because what truly dismantled the library wasn't a single flame, but the relentless grinding gears of political instability. After Caesar, Alexandria became a pawn in the game of Roman politics. The city was a revolving door of rulers, armies, and loyalties. With every shift in power, the library and its scholars faced new threats. One emperor might support it, but his successor might see it as a financial drain or a symbol of the old regime he wanted to erase. Think about it. Funding was cut, scholars fled, and the long-term project of collecting and preserving knowledge was constantly interrupted by short-term crises. During the Roman imperial crisis of the 3rd century, Alexandria was ravaged by civil wars. The district where the library was located became a battleground. Roman soldiers, with no regard for the priceless scrolls inside, likely looted, vandalized, and burned parts of the collection during their campaigns. Each conflict chipped away at the library, like waves eroding a cliff. There was no single moment of destruction, just a slow, painful decay caused by a century of political chaos. The institution was bleeding out, scroll by scroll. But the attacks weren't just physical, they were ideological. As the Roman Empire transitioned towards Christianity, a new and powerful force emerged: religious zealotry. To some early Christian factions, the library represented the old world of paganism. The scrolls contained scientific theories that contradicted scripture, philosophies that questioned divine authority, and stories of gods and goddesses deemed heretical. This wasn't a simple case of one religion versus another. It was a battle for the soul of the empire. Radical groups, convinced of their own righteousness, saw the pagan wisdom of the ancients as a corrupting influence. In 391 AD, a patriarch named Theophilus obtained a decree to destroy the Serapeum, a magnificent temple that housed a daughter library, a significant collection that was part of the greater Alexandrian library system. A mob of fanatics, spurred on by Theophilus, descended on the temple. They didn't just smash statues, they tore through the library, likely destroying thousands of scrolls in a frenzy of ideological purity. It was a clear message: the old knowledge was no longer welcome. The pursuit of science and philosophy was now seen as dangerous, a threat to the new order. The final symbolic nail in the coffin was the tragic murder of Hypatia in 415 AD. Hypatia was a brilliant philosopher, mathematician, and astronomer, the last great scholar of Alexandria. She was a woman who commanded respect in a man's world, a living symbol of the city's intellectual legacy. But she was also a pagan, and her influence and her friendship with the city as Roman governor made her a target for the rising political power of the church. A mob, incited by political and religious rivals, dragged her from her chariot, took her into a church, and brutally murdered her. Her death was more than just a personal tragedy. It was the death of an idea. It signaled the end of intellectual freedom and rational inquiry in Alexandria. When a society begins to kill its scholars, it has declared war on knowledge itself. After Hypatia's murdered, the brightest minds fled the city. Who would dare to teach science or philosophy when it could get you killed? The spirit of Alexandria was broken. So, the Great Library of Alexandria wasn't destroyed in a single, cinematic blaze. It died a slow, agonizing death by 1,000 cuts. It was burned by Caesar's desperate gamble, starved by political neglect, torn apart by civil war, purged by religious fanatics, and ultimately abandoned by a society that grew to fear the very knowledge it once celebrated. The final scrolls likely rotted away from simple neglect, their custodians gone, their value forgotten. The real story of the Library of Alexandria is a chilling warning. It shows us that the most precious treasures of a civilization aren't made of stone or gold, but of ideas, and these ideas are fragile. They die when we stop protecting them, when we allow politics to silence science, when we let fear triumph over curiosity, and when we decide that ignorance is safer than truth. The library's fall proves that a civilization first collapses in the mind. The empty shelves in Alexandria are a monument to a society that burned itself down, long before the final scroll turned to ash. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating and important as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's forgotten lessons. Let me know in the comments what you think the biggest threat to knowledge is today. Stay curious, and see you in the next video.